All right, let's go. Excel. So the way this course is structured is I will start with the right-hand side. I've broken it down into eight sections that I believe will cover all the important concepts of Excel. Okay, and I believe that well, there is a lot of things to talk about and a lot of things to cover. It will take. I'm hoping that we can finish in four meetings. So there is one today. There will be one tomorrow at the same time, and then next weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and hopefully we'll be able to cover all these concepts. Okay. I don't know if you guys already have Excel, but anyway, this session is being recorded. So if you have Excel, it will be nice for you to follow along as we do the things. Okay. And I'm going to be projecting my own Excel screen, and I'm going to be, doing the demo myself, so you can see what I'm doing. And if you have your computer beside you, you can go ahead and follow along. But if you don't worry. The session is being recorded, and you can follow along after the training. Okay. And as we go along, if there is, I'm going to be pretty fast and maybe a little bit. There might be some concepts that may be a little bit difficult for you to understand. Do not hesitate to stop me and ask your questions, or maybe just type your questions in the chat. And maybe after every 10, 15 minutes, I'll just pause and look at your questions and try to answer as much as possible. Great. So the objective, we are going to be looking at the Excel user interface. So for those of you that have never used Excel before, this will be a good introduction. You will understand the Excel screen, all the different sections of the screen and what they do. Yes, of course, you will not be a professional today, but the idea is to demystify Excel interface, right? So you will get familiar with the interface and know how to find your way around. Next, we will talk about formulas, okay? And as a matter of fact, the first two bullets are going to be covered today if we have time, right? The idea here is that you'll be able to understand Excel formulas and Excel functions, and also all the many different things about formulas and how to manipulate them, how to use them to solve complex problems. I'm pretty sure after today you will understand what formulas are all about. Then you're going to learn a little bit about data processing, how to format data, organize data, to clean data, to analyze data, and many, many, many more. Excel can be quite advanced. There is even another part of Excel that is much more advanced than this, which requires some degree of programming, and that's when we start talking about VBA. But that's not in the scope of this course. But the idea is for us to get started, get used to it, and if I see that you have been able to grasp all the core concepts of this first course, we will probably move to another course where we start going into more automation and programming stuff with Excel. And trust me, it's not as difficult as you think. All I expect and all I ask from you is to put on your thinking cap, think very fast, follow along. If you get confused along the way, ask the question. And if we are not able to answer the question in the course of today's session, don't worry, we will have some follow-up sessions after this one, and we'll try to explain the concepts. But my goal is for you to know all of these things and really understand and use them in your day-to-day lives. Now, why is it important to learn Excel? Why is learning Excel important in today's business world? First of all, it is universal, and which is really good for the audience that we have today, because I can see there's someone that's a caterer, there's someone that's into project management. There's someone that is a computer scientist. There's an engineer. There's someone in finance. So the good thing about Excel is that it is used in every industry. So no matter what you do, Excel, even if you're a business owner and you just want to be able to manage your business data, you have to use Excel at some point. Everybody uses Excel. So it's a universal tool. It improves, it helps you to do what we call data analysis. So you with Excel, you can, put all your, for example, if you're a caterer, for example, and you wanted to keep track of all of your customers and your sales and your costs and your profits and things like that. Excel is a fantastic tool for you to use to organize that data and analyze it. So it's both data collection and data analysis. And the idea is for you to be able to make sense out of the data to know if you're going to know the direction that you're going, if things are going well or things are going bad. And of course, it gives you something that you can use to make informed decisions and improve your profitability in your business, right? So it increases efficiency. Okay, there was a time when people used to do a lot of things with paper and just maybe calculating stuff in their head. But nowadays, with Excel, you can do all of that automatically. And talking about job prospects, that I cannot overemphasize that almost every job nowadays um, must require the Excel skill. I don't think there is any job that, at least to a reasonable extent, except if it's just a manual, completely manual job. But if you're going to be working in an office or at least in some way making some kind of report, then it's absolutely critical that you have some level of Excel skills. Okay. And then, of course, I said this one earlier on that making decisions. So the one that was into catering can look and understand, the business data and see if it's okay to continue doing business the way they're doing it, or maybe they need to make some changes to improve their performance in a different direction and integrates with other tools. So the good thing about Excel is I'm pretty sure there are some of you here that are also into sales, and some of you, for example, are into computer science. And you that's in computer science, I'm pretty sure you know that data can be in many shapes and sizes and come from many different sources, like servers, like the web, like databases. There's data everywhere. There's hundreds and hundreds of sources of data. But the good thing about Excel is you are able to integrate all of this data from multiple sources, and you are able to collect them into Excel and analyze them in Excel. So it's a great tool for that, right? And I said this already that Excel is essential for reporting. So, yeah, I cannot overemphasize that. You can only see things more clearly if you're able to visualize them, analyze them, and report them. And in summary, I've said here that Excel is not just a spreadsheet, it is a business advantage. Now, what is Excel, right? So the Excel is a powerful tool that has a set of features for managing and analyzing data. So, for example, you want to collect organizational data like employee records, for example, like timesheets, for example, like sales re records, for example, right? All of these data needs to be collected and organized uh, in a tool like Excel. There are other tools, but obviously Excel is the most popular and by far the most powerful tool for data collection and organization, right? And I've said this already, data analysis, there are things like pivot tables, we will come to that later, data visualization, process automation. I said earlier on that with Excel, you will be able to automate some processes. So, for example, make a report and send a report email to your boss. You can automate that with Excel such that you will not necessarily. I see some people are in the waiting room. I'm just gonna admit them. Great. And guys, if I'm too fast, let me know. And if you have any questions, ask. Okay. Great. Florence and Glory, if just keep an eye on the on the participants list. If you find anyone in the room, just let me know. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Yes, so I said Excel can be used to automate processes, right? So if you have that, maybe you need to collect some data, organize it, analyze it, and email it to your boss, for example, on a daily or a weekly basis. You can use Excel to automate that process, and you may not necessarily need to do it manually. But once you set the systems in place using what we call macros, we're going to come to that a little bit later. um, you will be able to do that, right? And then data integration, I said this in the previous slide, data validation and protection. You're going to see a little bit of that later. And team collaboration. So it's a good thing nowadays with the cloud, with cloud solutions. Multiple people are able to work in the same Excel spreadsheet from multiple, in fact, from different parts of the world. So it's a really good tool for, collaboration and different people can just come in one place and work together. Perfect. Now let's see. Let's see Excel in action. Okay. What I've done here is for those of you that have never used Excel before, I've tried to break down the different sections of a typical Excel screen. Okay. Just to get you comfortable with the user interface, as I said earlier on. So I'm just going to bring this, to launch Excel is really easy. If you have a Windows 10 or Windows 11 or, a PC, generally just type Excel there and click on it and Excel opens. I have multiple screens, so it's opening in the other one. All right. So as I said, the different sections, let's see, I'll just minimize that. At the top here is what we call the quick access toolbar. Okay. And I'll bring it up again. And that's this section right here. All these things are just buttons that you can use to do stuff. So if you wanted to, create a new document or save your document, that's what this button does. And by the way, when you hover on some of these, what we call commands, all these buttons are called commands. When you hover on these commands, you'll see a tool tip. You can see save, Control plus S at the bottom there. And when you hover on another one, a tooltip just comes just to give you an idea of what that particular tool does. Okay. And so that's the top one. It's the quick access toolbar. And then just underneath that, you will see this big bar right here. It's called the ribbon. And that's this part right here, okay? And you can see that the ribbon is made of what we call tabs, right? So as you click on each tab, you'll notice that the content of the ribbon is changing, right? And you can see that inside each of the tabs, there is a group of commands. You can see that they're kind of grouped and with this horizontal line separating them. These are called groups, command groups. Okay. So if you wanted to take care of font commands, for example, you will have this font group that you can use. Just before I continue, guys, because we are using just a free version of Zoom, this call will We'll stop in about 9 minutes and just I'll just reconnect if that happens. Okay. Okay. Is that okay?
Okay,
Just
sir.
type yes in the chat box if you hear me. I need you all to stay awake. Perfect. All right. Yeah, so that was the ribbon. And as I said, these are different. So the different buttons in here are commands, and the group of buttons like font, like alignment, like numbers, these are command groups. Okay. So a ribbon is made of um tabs, and in each tab, we have command groups, and in each command group, we have commands. Does that make sense? If it does, just say yes. Great. Now, so well, we have this part. I'll just leave it here in PowerPoint. We have the name box. We have the formula box. And by the way, I'm going to at the end of the course, I'm going to share these slides with you so you can go through. So, but I said at the end of the course, not at the end of today, because I still have to organize the slides a little bit. Okay. So yeah, rows, columns, the worksheet area. These are sheet tabs. This is the status bar, view buttons. I will show you all of these, what they do. Okay. So the rows are these ones. You can see that the rows are made of numbers and the columns are made of letters. And this is a status bar. If I were doing some kind of processing, you will see some kind of status notification here. And here I said these are the scroll bars. As you can see, I can scroll Excel with these ones, and I can also scroll horizontally. Okay. And then there's some display settings, and here I can choose to be on a different display. As I said, if you don't know what it is, just hover your mouse on it. You can see that this is the page layout, and this one is the page break preview layout. And then this one is the zoom bar, right? If you wanted to zoom in more, which I think I should for the training, you can do that. So I'm zoomed now at 150%. This one you can also manually select from here, right? If I wanted to be 200%, I'll select that and say, okay, and I'm really zoomed in and I can go back like that, okay? Have I covered everything? So columns, formula bar is where you write formulas. I'll come back. We'll look at the formula bar in greater details later, and we'll write a lot of formulas in the session. I think you've seen all of them. Yeah, view, zoom, scroll, formula, ribbon, name box. I will come to name box a little bit later. Okay, so don't worry. And then a sheet tab. So you can see also in this file that there is only one sheet, okay? And I'll come and explain what these sheets are, but then I can add more sheets by clicking the plus. And you see that I have multiple sheets. I have 4 sheets here, okay? And I can switch between the sheets. At the moment, there's nothing in the sheets. That's why it seems like they're all the same, but we'll start to put some content in the sheets and you can see how that works a little bit later. All right. Any questions so far with the Excel interface? Are you all familiar now with how Excel looks? Just type I understand in the chat box. Perfect. That's good. All right. And yeah, I think I already explained this ribbon to you. So as I said, the ribbon tab, and then there's groups, right? and of course the group of buttons, and then the individual icons that you see here are called commands, okay? And yeah, yeah, okay. You can also hide the ribbon. So if for example you were working with a really small screen, maybe a laptop, and you thought that the ribbon was taking um please someone in. Um I cannot see anyone in the room. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Uh, okay. I don't see anyone. So yeah, so that if you thought that the ribbon was too wide and you needed to decrease the height, you can on the ribbon, just anywhere on the ribbon, right click, and you can see a number of things you can do. You can actually collapse the ribbon, okay, by doing that. And you can see now the ribbon is out of the way, okay? And to bring it back, just click that and the ribbon is back, okay? There are a few other things you can do. You can also hide the quick access toolbar. Now you see it's gone. I'll bring it back because I need it. And you can customize the ribbon, but this I will explain to you a little bit later. It's just to change how things are laid out on the screen. Yeah, maybe I should show you now. If I go to customize the ribbon, you can see the different tabs, the ones I talked about. So on the left is a list of all of the commands in Excel, quite big. And in fact, these commands are grouped by the type of command, okay? And you can also see different groups here, right? The different options here. This is the Excel options. So if I wanted to, for example, see commands related to macros, for example, I would select that, but why is nothing coming up? Well, all commands, maybe it was still loading, I don't know. Yeah, so file tab commands, main tab commands, tool, and so on, right? These are the popular commands, commands that are not in the ribbon, and so on, right? But yeah, let's leave the all commands. And then on the right side is the different tabs, okay? So the tabs are these things up here. And you can see, for example, that the draw tab is not active. So if I click on that and click OK, just notice there's no draw tab here at the moment. And I say OK. Now you see I have a draw tab, okay? So if I wanted to hide the draw tab again, I'll just go back to customize the ribbon and just uncheck that. Say, for example, I want to remove developer. You can see there's a developer up here. So I can also remove that and click OK. And now draw and developer are gone from my ribbon. Okay. So that's how you manage you customize the ribbon. And of course, there's a lot more to do here. You can look at each group, and so these are the different group of commands I told you about, and you can go into each one and see all. So okay, and okay, and I also told you what these references are. A1, B2 to C5, for example, is from here B2 to C5, right? So that's also a range, okay? And the reference of this range is B2C5. So B2C5 is the reference of the selected range, okay? Great. And what are data types and why are they important? Can somebody else, if you know, just speak up and tell me what you think they are? No one? Okay. Um, I'm going to explain it to you like this. Mm, What is the difference between this data and this data? If you know, just speak up.
Um, One is a date or a date. The other one is a number, and the other one is a text.
What about this one?
That's number or currency. Number, currency or not? Yes, currency.
What about this one?
Percentage.
It's a percentage. Great. So what it means is that this is just a normal text, okay? So the data type of on cell D2 is text. The data type on cell F2 is date, okay? The data type on cell H3 is currency, and the data type on cell J2 is percentage. Does that make sense? So what it means is that not everything is the same. So all of these types of data have a specific type. So for example, on if you go on the home tab and you look under the number section, you will see a number of data types here. Okay, but these are not all the data types. Okay. There are many, many data types, and if you were into some kind of programming, you would know a lot more data types than we have here. But these are data types, and they are important because they don't all behave in the same way. Of course, a date and a normal number, they don't behave in the same way. A percentage, you can see if you wanted to convert this percentage to a normal text, for example, it'll be something else. If I change it, for example, to a number, it's 0.15, but the same 0.15 as percentage is 15%. Okay. So the data type is the type of data. Okay. Great. And I'll just explain the other one. So formulas are, well, just as the name implies, uh, some a mathematical, well, expression that does something. For example, 5 plus 5. This is not normal data. It's not like school or the rest. It's a calculation. It when you if I press enter now, Excel will do the calculation of what I have in this cell and tell me that it's 10. Okay. That's a formula, simple as that. Of course, it goes much more complex than this, but that's what a formula is. A function is is an expression of a formula that does something. For example, if I had, say, 10 and 20 in these cells, and I wanted to sum them, I could do that. I could say equal 10 plus 20, and I get 30 in this cell. But I could also use what is called a function. I could say equal sum, and I'll just highlight the reference. Remember what I said, that the reference is all of the cells that you want to utilize in the particular expression. In this case, you can see Excel is telling me that I've selected F5 to F6, okay? And if I close my bracket, you can see here that I have well, just equal and then a function that has the parameters inside of it. And you can also see that formula in here. And I remember I told you I was going to explain what the formula bar does later. So that's what it does. You can see your formulas in the formula bar. And if I press enter at this point, you see that it did exactly the same thing. And why is that important? Why can't we just every time do 10 plus 20? Why do we need to use a function? Can somebody tell me if you know?
Um, I'll try, right? I hope I'm correct. For function, if you have the formula there, and maybe you change a number in a cell, it automatically gives you the answer when you're using a function.
Yeah, but it's the same if I also change this number to say 15, it's automatic as well, huh? But I'm not using a function here. Okay, let me explain. If my data becomes really large, say for example, I have this and I'm going to show you how to drag things. So I had this big data set. You can imagine the pain it would take for me to say equal that plus that plus that plus that plus that plus that. Oh, my hands are already hurting right now, right? See how many times I have to click to do that to see 450. But in fact, I could have just used the sum function to save me some time, highlight all of them, and I get exactly the same result. Okay. So functions help you to simplify these mathematical operations as against just doing them manually. Okay. So they are both formulas, but with functions, you kind of, simplify things a little bit. And sum is just an example of a function. And we're going to talk about a number of functions as we go along. As I said, if you have any questions, ask. Otherwise, I'll just assume that you understand and I'll just continue. All right. Macros, I said a little bit about
Sorry,
macros.
excuse me.
Yes, yes, yes.
The function, can you go over it again? I lost my network and trying to figure out what
Okay,
you said on
okay,
functions. Thank you. Yes, sir.
okay. So just think of functions as a block that helps you to do complex formulas. Okay. Like I said, this here and this here, these two things, they do exactly the same. It's 450, 450. But you can see that this is quite long, right? And this one is very short, right? So the function pretty much wraps a particular kind of activity into something that's called a function, as you can see. Because if we indeed looked into this formula, you'll see what I'm doing here is sum. I'm just adding things, right? So I'm actually just summing all of them. So Excel, the developers of Excel have said, well, we think that people will be frustrated if they had to keep writing different sums because all they just want to do is sum stuff, right? And if they had to, manually select all the different fields that they wanted to sum, it'll be a pain. So they decided to create this thing they call a function that pretty much just wraps all of the things you want to add together and it just adds them. And that's it, basically. Okay? Did you hear that,
Yes,
Remy?
sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I did.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. So that's functions. Then macros. So now it's starting to be a little bit more advanced. Macros are kind of programs, okay, that are used to automate things in Excel, okay? And I will leave it at that for now because it's going to be too much for those that are just starting Excel. But the idea is that with a macro, you can make things happen automatically. Hopefully, before the end of this training, we will make some macros together. By then, you would have had some kind of understanding of what macros, what Excel is, and of course have and then we'll touch a little bit on macros, okay? Pivot tables as well are used for analyzing your data, okay? And we're going to talk about pivot tables later. And charts, well, you know what charts are. Maybe if you don't worry, we'll come to charts a little bit later. Now, I just put some of the most common Excel terminologies here. There can be a whole lot more, and we will talk about most of them in this training. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will explain if I know what the terminology is, and I'm pretty sure I'll know what it is. Great. So this one, I think we've talked about it already. We now know what a workbook is. But what we don't know is that a workbook is a file that has the .xlx extension. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Um, if I go to yeah. So I have this, if I go to documents and I have this training, yeah, these are the files. You can see this is an Excel file, okay? If I right clicked and clicked on properties, you see here that the the type of file, I don't know if you can see it, but it's dot. Can you see this, guys? Are you still with me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can see.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Um, I lost it. Where is it? Uh, so yeah, there we go. So it's right here. It's .xlsx, okay? And of course,
mm,
Windows users, I think if you wanna change if you wanna, you can actually change your yeah, Windows 10. I can't remember how to do it, but you can actually change the way your files are displayed to show the .xlsx here. It's somewhere. They changed the Windows, so I'm a little bit. It should be somewhere here. Forget. All right. So any file that, well, it's not only XLS X. There are a number of other file extensions like XLS. XLS is more for the older versions of Excel, and there is CSV. CSV is a comma separated values file, but it can also be opened in Excel. Uh-oh, what happened? Glory was kicked out of the meeting.
I'm right here.
What does it say you are joining? You and Obi. Or maybe that's another. Yeah, I can see you inside, but I can also see you outside in the waiting room. Okay. So that's a workbook. So Excel workbooks have the .slsx extension, and then Excel worksheets, as Florence had said earlier on, are these different things you see here. Okay. Yeah. You have a question, Obi? All right. And then, of course, the tabs are the worksheets. And then of you name your sheets, right? If I come here and I didn't like sheet one, sheet two, sheet four, I can come here and say sales, right? And I just did that by double clicking on that, or you can actually right click on it and click rename, okay? So if I wanted to say, I don't know, customers and what products, okay? So you can rename your sheets to something that makes sense, okay? Something that you can read and understand, because if you have an Excel file that had maybe, I don't know, 20 sheets and they were just sheet 1 to 20,
Who is that?
I'm pretty sure it'll be difficult for you to know what the sheet contains, okay? Yes. And then, of course, deleting sheets, navigating between sheets and referencing sheets. So if I didn't want this sheet 4 to be here, maybe I just wanted to keep only those, I could just right click and delete that. Okay, it gives me a warning that it's going to be permanently deleted. Do I want to continue? I delete and it's gone. Okay. And to add a new one, just click the plus button here and you can just keep adding more and more and more. Okay. To delete a number of them, you can right click, you can hold shift and click all of them and right click and click delete, and they're all gone. Okay. There's a lot you can do. Just play around with it and you'll figure it out. Okay. You can also copy them. If I wanted to make a copy of the product sheet, for example, I could do that and click on move or copy. And I can say, yes, I want to copy it here on this file. Um, and I want to create a copy. And here I can select where I want to keep the copy, move to the end. And if I click OK, now you see I have a copy of products. It's now products 2, right? And well, maybe I didn't want to name it as products 2. I can either double click or right click and click rename. And I can say, uh, analysis. Maybe I wanted to make an analysis sheet where I wanted to analyze my sales, customers, and products. Okay. And then create another one. I'll show you another trick to copy, and I use that a lot. If you just hold Control, click on the worksheet and just drag to the right a little bit, you can see there's kind of a plus sign with a small sheet on my mouse. I don't know if you can see that. And if you just left that, it will create a copy of the sheet that you have selected. So it's a really fast way to work. You know, you can just do that and do that and do that and create copies of the sheet that you have selected. I did it by holding Control, clicking on it, and just moving to the right side. And then you create a copy of that sheet. Okay, good. Slide. Yes. What else? To reference stuff, maybe a bit more advanced for this. But okay, if you have, say, for example, I have something on cell E2, and I say I put my name there, for example, and I wanted to reference this particular cell from another cell from the customer's, from another worksheet, from the customer's worksheet. I could use this pattern. You see this pattern you see here, where you type the sheet name with an exclamation mark and the cell address, then it'll bring back what you have in that cell. So I said in the product sheet, I have my name. I want my name in the customer sheet. How do I do it? I can say equal to, and then I open a single quote and type products. So it'll know, Excel will know that I'm talking about the product sheet. And then I type a quotation, an exclamation mark. And then I was at, oh, I forgot, I was at, oops, sorry, go back here. It was E2, right? So, docs, my exclamation, and it was E2, right? And enter. And you can see that my name has been pulled from the other sheet into the sheet. And you see that in the formula bar, it says that what is in this cell is actually coming from the product sheet on sheet E2, on cell E2. Okay. So yeah, that's how you do some cell referencing from one sheet to another. Any questions on management of worksheets and sheet names and copying sheets and navigating? Any questions? See, someone has something in the chat. No, not really. Clear. Very good. All right. Next, how do you create a workbook? It's really simple. Just go to the, so I have this one here, sheet 3, book 3, and I want to create a new one. Just click File, New, and you can do a number of things. You can either create a new blank workbook, or you can create a workbook from another workbook that you had previously created, or you can create a workbook from what we call templates, right? Now, some of these things you see down here are template, and then you can even search for templates online. That means that most of the things that you want to create in Excel has probably been created already by somebody else, okay? And that person probably have put in a lot of thought to it. They've designed it in a certain way, and you just want to save your time. You don't want to start from scratch and make a completely new um, workbook. You can actually look at the templates that are already existing. For example, if I wanted to use this employee absence schedule, then I could just click that and it will load it up. Okay, let's do that and see. So it brings up that template, and I can click create, and you can see how beautiful that looks, right? Of course, I will have to do some work to customize it to exactly what I need, but you can see already that it's looking pretty good. Design is very cool. It's appealing to the eyes. It's a template that already exists, and I don't have to start to do it from scratch. Okay. So, and as I said before, if it doesn't appear on the list here, you can actually search for templates online, and you can find literally millions of templates that you can select from. Good. What else? I said earlier before that Excel files can have the XLS extension, CSV. Well, it cannot really be PDF, but you can actually export an Excel file to a PDF. We'll have a look at that later. Okay. And you can save it. I don't know if you guys are using Teams and Dropbox and tools like that. You can save your file anywhere actually and use it. Great. I have dumped here a number of very good shortcuts, okay, that you can use to do a lot of things in Excel. If you have been using Word, I'm pretty sure that some of these, you are quite familiar with some of these already. Matter of fact, I think I also prepared one other sheet, this exercises sheet that we can already use to practice some things. Just a second. I will copy this data and use it in Excel. Yeah. Just make a new worksheet here. Paste that. Let's just play with this data, okay? And I'm going to show you. Yeah, there we go. So the first one it says here is Control C, which means copy essentially. So if I wanted to copy this here, I could just come here and paste it here and paste it here and paste it here. What I'm doing is Control C and Control V, right? So Control C copies and Control V pastes. The other way you can copy and paste stuff is to right click and click on copy. Click on the cell where you want to right click on the cell where you want to drop it and click on paste, right? You can see different types of paste here, but yeah, we'll come to that later. And Control X is to cut stuff. So if I didn't want Control X to be here anymore, I'll just pretty much type Control X and put it somewhere. You can see now it's blank here because it's been cut away from here. Okay. And by the way, working with shortcuts makes your life very easy. If you are very experienced with Excel, I use shortcuts all the time. Okay. There are some shortcuts that are used for formatting stuff like bold, italics. So bold means Control B. You can see that the bold is now indeed bold. And I can make it italic by typing Control I. I just did that just now. That's why it's kind of slanty. And I can make it underlined by typing Control U. Okay. So you see it's now bold, it's italicized, and it's underlined. And if you wanted to undo something you already did, for example, I want to take it back to the way it was before, you can use Control Z. Yes, it's right here, right? So you can click that and click Control Z. Now the underline is gone, Control Z. Now it's not italic anymore, and Control Z, and now it's not bold anymore, okay? So play with them to save the stuff, to save the work, Control S, and so on. Play with it. But in fact, there are some really, really good shortcuts that I really like. And if I wanted to, for example, say, for example, I had a sheet that was really long, like thousands and thousands of rows, and I wanted to quickly go from the top to the bottom, I'll just hold Control and the arrow keys on my keyboard, I'll press down, and you can see how I went from the top to the very bottom, right? And if I wanted to go back up, I could hold Control and up, and I'm back up. If I wanted to go to the extreme right, I could do that, and I'm there. So you can see I can quickly move to all the edges of my data just by doing that, okay? Great. And yeah, one really helpful one to copy stuff. Say, for example, I was working and I just wanted to copy this content here to here. I could just do Control C and Control V here. But now you see I had to do two things. But there's even a better way to do that copy by doing only one thing. You can press Control R and it does exactly the same thing. Control R. So if I wanted to copy all of these, for example, I'll just highlight all of them and highlight the destination cell and type Control R on my keyboard, and automatically all those items on the left have now been copied to the right, right? And who can tell me which shortcut I can use to go back to the way it was before?
Control Z.
Control Z. Perfect. So Control Z, and now I'm back. Great. So play with it. Try all of them, okay? If you have any difficulty, for those of you that may be using iOS devices, you're on a Mac OS. I put the Mac OS shortcut keys here, okay? And of course, the Windows ones are on the left side. Perfect. We just rename this dot. Oops. Very good. All right, so that was the end of the introductory section. Glory, you want to say something?
Yes, I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted us to try the control R with a column that is far away.
Mm-hmm.
Like your screen is yes, like from copying from C to
Mm-hmm.
let's say F or G. Let's see how you're going to
It's not
pick the
possible.
next. Okay.
You can only copy to the adjacent cell.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, to the adjacent cell. That's a very good question. But if you highlight it like this, you will indeed copy, but you will copy into all of them. So your intention was to copy to G, but now you have copied to D, E, and F. But
Okay.
anyway, what it does is it just takes what you have in the first cell and it copies it to all the cells on the right side.
All right.
Yes, that's how it works. That's a very good
All right.
question.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right. So that's the end of the introduction. I know it's a lot of things for those of you that have never used Excel before. As I said, we're recording the session, so feel free, go back, play it as many times as possible until you understand. And if you don't understand, leave a question in the WhatsApp group and we'll try to explain. All right, let's go to the next section. And by the way, we have just about 44 minutes, so I'll try to be a little bit faster. And I think I will not be able to go in the last section. I wanted to do 3 sections today, but it's taking longer than I thought. Data entry and formatting. Now, this will probably go fast. We already did a bit of it. So basically, you type data into the cells. You can move with the tab key, right? So on your keyboard, you have the arrow button, so you can move cells by just, clicking up, down, left, right, as the case may be. But you can also do that using the tab keys. But the tab keys only goes one way, right? Or shift tab. If you press shift and tab, you can go in the opposite direction. And then if you press enter, it will take you to the cell underneath. But I don't know if some of you have used the typewriters in the old days. Every time you finished one line, you would jump to the next line by, pulling that carriage return. And that's pretty much what the enter key does. So if I wanted to say, I was typing names of people here. So I had Ife, Joe, say, I had Adele, and I had Remy, right? And I press enter now, it'll just take me to the very next cell, okay? So, yeah, of course, that's if I was doing tab, then it takes me to the very first one. But if I press, all right. So, yeah. So as I said, you can move with the arrow keys and with the tab keys. Yeah, you can insert stuff into the screen. If you go to the insert bar, then you can see I'll just go with illustrations for now. You can see shapes, for example, or pictures. So if I wanted to bring a picture, I can select from online, from this computer or wherever, and I can insert shapes as well, text, lines, triangles, things like that, right? Let's say I wanted to bring a circle, funny looking circle. You have it there. I could insert stuff like icons, and this will just pull up some icons from the internet, right? Say I wanted to bring this icon of a plane. I can click that and click insert. And now I have the icon there. You can resize by just dragging the edge of the icon. And if you could also manage the way it looks you can see this has brought in an additional tab automatically. So in fact, there are different types of elements that when you select them, the tabs will adjust to provide the commands that you need to manage that particular element. Like this circle, for example, has a shape format, and you can see it has its own set of command groups and commands and things you can do, right? So if I wanted to, for example, change the feel of these to orange, I can just select orange and it'll be like that. And if I wanted to change the outline to blue, let's say this blue, for example. I don't know if you can see it. You can see there's a blue outline, but yeah. And a lot of things I can do about it. I can do the same with the plane. Now it's a graphics format. And I could also make the plane orange, as the case may be. Okay. So you can insert a lot of things into the worksheet. Um, yeah, we talked a little bit about the formula bar. So if I wanted to, I could, if I didn't want to, type the formula here, I could have just clicked the cell and just come, say 1 plus 1, and it gives me 2, right? But I didn't have to do it here. I could have done it also from up here in the formula bar. What else? We talked about undo, redo. Yeah, the field handle, yes. Let's say I was keeping a list of dates here. I had, say, January, February, and I didn't want to, type all of the dates. I could click on this thing, and this is the autofill handle. This, you can see this little knob at the bottom of the cell. I could click on that, and as you see, as I'm dragging, the tooltip is telling me that something else is going to appear on the cell. And you can see Excel has automatically given me all the months of the year. Okay. I could also do it with numbers. Let's say 10, 20. And in this case, I will drag both numbers so Excel can understand that I want to increment each cell by 10. And as I drag like that, you can see it has automatically given me up to 100. You can also make your own custom lists like this, okay? Say, for example, I wanted to make this a list that will automatically drag down. I can go to File and Options, and I think it's in Advanced, and here, Edit Custom Lists, okay? And you can see all of the lists that already exist in Excel, okay? And I can add a new one by just typing here. So I wanted a list that does Ife, Joe, Adele, and Remy, right? And let's add Florence. Who else is there? Jane. Uh, did I miss anyone? I don't think so. Chichi. Okay, so now I have my own custom list, okay? And I say, okay, now I have a list. If I actually went back there, options again, advanced, where is my list? Yeah, you see now that that list exists in the list custom list window. So now, if I just typed my name, and I did the same thing I did with dates and the number by just dragging down, you can see that Excel is automatically giving me all of those names that I selected into that field, right? So if you have a set of values that you use regularly, this could be an interesting tool to make your work a little bit faster. Okay. Let me see. Are you guys still with me?
Yes,
You
we're
are
here.
just, yeah, just
Yes,
type
we are.
perfect. Very good. Okay. I hope you're learning something. All right. Yeah. So yeah, that was custom list, and you can see how to make autofills. And I already told you how to delete, and deleting is super simple. Click the item, click and press on delete in your keyboard. If you wanted to delete a row, right click the row, right click on it and click delete, and that row is gone. And if you want to delete a column, say I don't want this anymore, click on it, right click and click delete, and it's gone. Okay. And of course, if you thought you made a mistake, Control Z is your friend. It'll bring back the data that you mistakenly deleted. All right. Now, cell formatting. Let's make some beautiful things now. I'll just make a new cell. Let's use the product one. Say, for example, I wanted this to be a little bit bigger. I could use under the Home tab, the font section. I could increase the font by just, clicking on that, or decrease it by clicking on the small a. If I wanted to change the font type, I could select, say, Arial, for example, and now it's Arial. If I wanted it to be bold, I could click that, but looks like Arial Black is already bold by default. Let's select another one, this normal Arial. You see it's not bold. And if I wanted it to be bold, I'll click that. If I wanted it to be italic, I'll click that. If I want it to be underlined, I'll click that. And those are the things you remember we did earlier on with the shortcuts, Control B, Control I, Control U. They do exactly the same thing that these buttons do. And if you want to change the background color, for example, that's what this is for. You can select that, or you can change it to whatever color you wish. You wanted to change the font color itself. I think black. Maybe I want a blue, that blue color. I could do that, right? Um, maybe a green color, as the case may be, right? So you can play with the colors. Yeah, if the cell was wide like this and I wanted the content to be in the middle, I could do that. If I wanted it to be right oriented, I could do that. If the cell was tall and I wanted the text to be in the middle, I could do that. If I wanted to be at the top, I could do that, right? So you can move your text to whichever part of the screen you wish by just playing with these buttons here. Okay? And so on. There's a lot more things you can do. You can merge cells. Say, for example, like I want my name to be spanning E and F. I can click on both of them and click on merge and center. And now you see it the cell is now covering this one cell is now covering a range of two cells. Okay. And you can make it as big as you wish. Doesn't matter. Right. So you see, it's techniques like these that they have combined to make that kind of beautiful template that you saw earlier on. This one. Because this is just a cell that has a background, a green background. So I think this color was selected for that. And this one as well has another background color, right? This is January. They went all the way to 72 and gave it the color, this color, right? Made it Calibri and bold. And now you have that, right? So you can actually replicate this type of thing um, by yourself if you just knew very well how to work with the formatting tools. And this will be your assignment, by the way, to make something like this. And hopefully by tomorrow, I'll be asking to see what you have done. I will do a screenshot of this and drop it in the WhatsApp chat. And I expect you to come back with something pretty close to this. Is that okay? If it's okay, type okay in the chat. No one's typing? Ah, very good. Some people don't want to type okay. I understand. All right. So let me touch a little bit on borders. So if you wanted to give this a border, for example, there is a very short key a button you can use here, right? With this button, you can give all kinds of borders, okay? So if you wanted a border only at the bottom of the cell, you can click the first one, bottom border, And maybe I'll just remove the color so you can see no field. I don't know if you can see that border down there. Okay. Can I repeat what I said? About what? Speak up, Jane. What do you want me to repeat? Jane, yeah?
Yeah, I'm here. So basically, I didn't get the last thing you said about screenshotting the Excel
Ah,
stuff in the
your
chat.
homework.
Okay, can you repeat that, please? I didn't get that at all.
It's your homework. I just want you to redesign this
Okay, anyway, we want.
to look like this as much as you can.
Okay, we should design it on Excel to look like this.
Yes, and
Okay,
tomorrow you just show me what you have done in Excel. I will put
okay,
a screenshot of this in the chat,
okay,
so you don't have to worry about doing the screenshot right now. I'll put
okay,
it in the chat.
okay.
Great. Okay, so that's how you do an underline, a bottom border. If you wanted to make a border at the top, then you do that. Oops, you do that.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm actually
Okay.
lost. I just came in to meet this. I don't know if to be okay with you if you have a repeat.
Of which part?
This most especially the assignment you gave us. I don't know if the meeting have been on for a while. Been waiting for a link. I just got the link and I came and I met you talking about the homework.
Okay. It's been on. We started at. This is Remy, right? Who's speaking, Remy? But I've seen you in the
Yeah,
meeting all this
Remy,
time.
yeah, yeah. I mean the last meeting. No, the link expired.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so
It's because we need to
waiting.
subscribe premium.
Yeah.
It's just the homework for you to redesign this in Excel, basically, by yourself. That's all. But how to do
All
it, if you
right.
don't know how to do it, you can also contact the other students and they'll show you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. So that's how you do borders, right? All kinds of borders. If I wanted a thick one, I could come here and select that, and now I have a thick border. And you can also right click and go to Format Cells. And inside Format Cells, there is a tab here for borders. So here you can even change the type of border. So if I wanted this broken line, for example, I could select that and select that I want it to be around my text. And if I click OK, now you see I have a different type of border. Okay. And this right clicking and clicking on format cell is something that you will use a lot with Excel because you can find a lot of text format functionality in here that are not available in the ribbon. And but obviously, as you continue to use Excel, you will get to know them and you will get familiar with them. Okay. Okay, and we talked a little bit about number format, so I will not go back to that. But basically, to make formats, you need to use this number uh, command group. Click the number and change the format from here. Or you can right click and go to the format cells, and you will see under number, you can see the different number formats here. So percent, currency, number, and so on. Special ones, percentages, time, date, etc. Format Painter. This is another one that will be your best friend with using Excel. I'm gonna go to another sheet for that. Let's say I had Jane's name here, and let's say names of participants of this training, Jane. and I want it to be font size 18. I want it to be Arial. I want it to be italic, and I want it to be green, right? So let's say I have 1 here, 2, 3, and so on, right? I'll just use that. Now you see, I did that. I used that knob to drag it down, but it didn't change. So sometimes you can tell Excel how you want it to be by selecting 2 cells, at least 2 cells, and then you drag. And now Excel knows I want to change the numbers, and it has increased. Okay. So let's say I have Joe here, and I have Florence here, and Lori, and so on. But now I have to do the same thing, and maybe I can't even remember. What was the cell here? 18? Was it 16? And was it Arial or Calibri or Verdana? I can't remember. This is where the format painter becomes very useful. Okay. You can click on the format, well, click on the cell where you want to. It's like, when you do painting, right? You have to dip your paintbrush into the paint, and then you go and apply it on the canvas. Okay. In this case, my canvas is Joe and my paint is Jane. So I want to paint the format of Jane on Joe. And to do that, I have to click on Joe. Then I click the format painter command, and then I click on Joe. And you see, Excel has automatically helped me to move that format down here without having to remember how I did it. Okay. And I could, if I did Control Z, I could also, do that again and do for all of them at once. Okay. And let's say Joe was red text. I will remove the format on. To remove the format, let's say who else is here? Remy. Yeah, Excel knows I want to maintain that format, so it kind of just gives me. So just because I put it right under the format that I was having. So I'll just remember I said Control X to cut and Control V to paste. So I want who else? Who else? You know what? I'll just use these guys. I'll copy them and I'll paste them.
There's Waziri, there's Chichi, there's Jane, Obi.
So Waziri, Chi, Obi, oops.
Joy.
Oh, Joy. Good. All right. I will remove the format by applying this format on them, right? Good. Now, I want, how many guys do we have here? Is it just Joe that's a guy here?
Apparently.
Oh, and myself as well. So me. Yeah, there we go. So let's say the guys are going to be red text and the girls will be green text, okay? So as I said before, I'll click on that one, click on Format Painter, and click on that one, right? And the girls will be green, right? So I'll click on the green one, click on Format Painter, and highlight over them, okay? So that's how you do it. But then there is another concept. I'm going to remove the formats again. Say, I'll just redo it again for Jane. It was green, I think it was 18, and it was like this. I can, if I have a mixed list like this, and I don't wanna, I don't wanna just do that because then I'll make the boys green as well. One thing I can, and I don't want to each time click that and click that and click that and click that and click that. That would just be very time consuming. One thing I can do is to click on one of the names, double click, this time double click on Format Painter like that. And now you have the paintbrush. And if I click on Florence, you see I still have the paintbrush. But the last time, if I undo, if I just click on that once without double clicking, once I apply it, I lose it. You see now the paintbrush is not there anymore. So the way to do for such kind of cases to double click on it, and then I'll just look at all of the values that are girls and just click, click, click. And you see, I still have my brush. It's like just holding my brush in my hand, and I've done all of them. And the same thing for here. The format was the same except the color. So I'll just paint this format, apply on Joe, and change the color. And then paint the format of Joe and apply on my name. And that's how you use the format painter. It's not only for colors, it's for just about any format that you want to paint, even up to the data types. You can paint conditional formats, which we're going to look at later. You can just paint whatever format is on a cell into another cell, and it works really well. Any questions for this one? Right. Okay, so you have seen almost everything here, except I'll just show you real quick. So you can see this grid, these lines that you see, they are called the grid line, right? It can be pretty annoying sometimes. And I think on your assignment, you can see there's no grid lines here. Now, how is it that the grid lines are not here? It's because you can actually hide or show the grid lines. If you click on the View tab, you see grid lines here, right? So it's not checked, that's why we don't see it. But if I click on that, now you see the grid lines are back, right? That's how you hide or show things. You can also hide and hide the formula bar. This here is a formula bar, right? You can click here and hide it. Now it's gone, and bring it back, okay? And if I wanted to hide it here, view, grid line, and it's gone. Now it looks really clean, especially if you were making a report and you wanted to make it look very tidy, or you wanted to convert that file to Excel, then to a PDF, you wanted to send a report and you didn't want the grid lines to be appearing on your sheet, then you can hide them and convert to PDF and send your report. Perfect. So yeah, formatting dates. Yeah, that's another really interesting one. Let's say today is 17/05/2025, right? Say I wanted this to look like 17 May 2025. How am I going to do that? I'll right click. Remember, I told you that the format cells will be your friend, a very good friend, in fact, going forward in Excel. As you click on that, you'll see date here. So the date format has several types of ways, and it's actually depending on your location. You see, for me, my location is English, Denmark. That's why I have this set, and I could change it to, well, just about anything else, right? So if I changed it to English, let's say English UK, you see it has changed a bit, right? And let's say I change, and you know, in the UK, I think it's day month, right? Let's see how it looks with US. You see, with US, it's year, month, day. It's funny, right? So you can, yeah, month. They do their month before their day in the US, as I remember, right? So you can manipulate how your date looks by doing that. So if I selected, let me go back to the US. I like the US one. This one, yeah. And I said, okay, now it says 17 May 2025. But if I want this to be 2025, you have the power to manipulate how your date looks, even even if you didn't have this date selection here, under custom, yeah, you can actually play with how you want it to look, because this is kind of a template that you can use to, yeah, the warning again. So again, if it ends, we are almost at the end of today's session. We finish at exactly in exactly 12 minutes or 11 minutes. And I see I have about 10 minutes on the clock. So if I'll try to wrap up today's session before we get cut off. But if we get cut off, just rejoin and we'll just wrap up. Now, how can I make this? You see on the type, you can actually delete that template there, and then you see the date just looks like a number. And if I wanted it to be, let's say, 17, then I'll just type DD, meaning day, and I put my dash. You can see here that the sample is already telling me how my date is gonna look. Okay. And I want the month to be May, MAY. I can type MMM, and you see it tells me May, and then I can put another dash, and I can say YYYY. In this case, it's gonna give me uh day, month, and year, right? Sorry. Oops. Why is it not? Why? That's how it's supposed to be. Oh, something is not right. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with my Excel. Is anybody following along in Excel? Do you have the same problem I'm having? Yeah, okay. Maybe it's because I'm using a Danish keyboard. So I need to use we have a funny character in Denmark. Or means year in Denmark, but on your English keyboard is gonna be Y, okay? Is somebody trying to do this on their computer?
Yeah, it's actually why
Yes.
over here.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying to do it too.
Okay, very good. So for me, because I'm using a Danish keyboard, I have to use this or letter. It's a special letter in Denmark. And if I click OK, now you see I have 2025, which is what I wanted, right? And like I said, play with it, okay? If you want the day, let's say let's go for a month that has more letters, like January 01. And you see it's Jan. But if I want it to be January, just go back there, go to custom, add one more M to the month, and you can see it says the whole word January. And say I didn't like the dash there, I can remove it. And I just want 17 January 2025, right? So that's how you customize your dates. You can play with it as much as you want. And yeah, you see it's actually quite powerful and quite useful. Any questions for this section? All right. Yeah. So we were supposed to talk about conditional formatting. We have only 8 minutes. It will take longer than 8 minutes to explain conditional formatting, but so if you want me to start conditional formatting, just type go ahead on the chat box, even though we're gonna exceed 6 o'clock and 7 minutes, maybe 10 minutes more. Just type go ahead in the chat box. If I get up to 4 go aheads, I'll proceed. 1, 2, 3, one more. Uh-oh, just 3. There we go. 4. All right, 5. Okay, good. So conditional formatting. Now, this one is a very interesting concept. And for this, I have created, in fact, a sheet that we're going to use to practice today. Okay. Who can tell me what conditional formatting is? It's a question. No one knows?
Okay, I could try.
Yes, go ahead.
Because I've used it once or twice to group a particular range of cells based on color, based on list of value,
Mhm.
depending on the depending on the list or group I want to create. But I've not really looked into it deeply to understand what I'm doing. I'm just working and
Mhm.
I just use it to highlight necessary lists or
Mhm.
value. I don't know if I'm making any atom of sense though.
Yeah, it's okay. You're pretty close. Does anyone else have any idea what conditional formatting is?
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Um,
okay,
Yeah, go ahead, Florence. Just hold on. The other guy, I
yeah,
heard someone.
all right. Good evening, sir. Good
Good
evening, everyone.
evening. Good evening.
For me, I think the conditional formatting is an effect or a format that is applied to a a range of cells that does not affect other cells that are not highlighted because of the format or because of the command that is given.
Mhm. Okay, I will explain what conditional formatting is, but good try, guys. Conditional formatting is close to what we did before. We did formatting here, okay? Right? But it was not conditional. What we have done here is formatting, in fact, but it was not conditional. Now, conditional formatting is to make a format based on a condition, okay? Remember when we did this one, I said that the males, I heard another male, the guy that spoke just now, what's your name, please?
Promise.
Promise. So we have one more guy here. So you are a guy, so I will again paint that format. Great. Now, the condition for having a red or a green color was the sex of the individual, right? So we have female, 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 and male here, right? So what we said was, I'll just delete this one. What we said was if female, it's green, right? And if male, the format should be red. So this is what conditional formatting is. Simple as that. Now the rest is how to use the tool to implement a conditional format. Let's try. I'm going to use this. And by the way, conditional formatting is under the home tab under styles, right? If you click on this, you will see different things, right? You will see highlight cells rules. Now, what it's saying here is if a cell is greater than a certain number, um, I think I'll use the other sheet because I have numbers there. This one. Let's highlight, for example, the math scores, okay? Now, I want to see all the values that are greater than 60, okay? What it means is that my condition for giving these selected cells a format is greater than 60. We have only 1 minute. If the call disconnects, just rejoin the meeting, okay? Uh, I'll
Sorry,
do,
sir.
I'll, yeah,
Sorry, sir. We'll be joining using the same link.
just use the same link, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess we can just wait for it to expire and then you can sorry. Then I have to move this one above the other one, okay? So if I do that and apply, now you can see I maintain the original green because that's the first we look at. Then we look at the next ones that are somewhere in the middle. And now I want to have a format for those that maybe we should make 60 also orange. I'll just go back there and manage. So you can change the condition you have here by clicking on edit rule. And I want it to be greater than or equal to this one, right? 60 and apply. So that 60 as well will be the orange color. So we can see only one guy failed. And I want that failed color to be red. Who can tell me how I can do that? I just want to be sure you're following.
Sorry, come again. What did you say?
I want to make this guy that scored 50, Felix, I want him to be red. How can I do that? I want
Okay.
anyone, actually, not just this guy. I want anyone that scored less than 60 to be red. That means the person failed.
Go back to your manage.
So I highlight that. I go back to
Which
manage
one?
rules, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what should I do from
And
here?
new rule.
A new rule, okay.
Mm,
And then I'll have to set the
The
value.
monthly. Yes.
Mhm. Actually, it was this one. And then I can say anybody that was less than 60 should have a format of red like this. Okay. Now, if I click apply at this point, it's gonna mess up. Yeah, yeah, because I don't have any other. But normally I should put this one at the bottom, okay? Because if I had some other numbers, then it will not be so correct. And the way to move this condition to the bottom is to use the arrow button, okay? So the highest one stays at the top, then the next best, and then the last. And maybe this orange is a bit too harsh. I can change that color to I don't know, something a bit lighter like this. Okay. Okay. Apply. Okay. And now we can see just one failure standing out of our record. Okay. And the data, if as you make changes to this data, the format is automatically selected. So for example, if Clara had scored 10, it automatically becomes red. Okay. So as you fill up the data, it automatically adapts the format according to the conditional format rule that you have set here. And our format rule has three different rules based on the value. And as I said before, if you go to the edit, you can select based on several things here. You just need to play around with it a little bit to see how the rules are applying to your data. And if I wanted to remove the rules, I could come here and click clear rules, either from the selected cells or from the entire sheet. In this case, I want to clear rules from the selected cells. And I do that. And now I don't have any rules anymore. There are a number of other things you can do with conditional format. If you did that, you
So,
could see some of these are already pre-made for you. Yeah? question?
Yeah, can you go over this conditional formatting again?
Okay. Okay. Sure. Now, as I said, conditional format is a format you set based on a condition. Okay. And the condition will be the value of what is in the cell. And in this case, where we have math scores and we want to set, say we want to set the passing score at 50, for example, that anyone that scores above 50 has passed, and anyone that scores less than 50 has failed. Only one condition. Now you can do it from here. You can come to conditional formatting. Now, all of these things you see here are just helping you. You can actually just do it from manage rules, right? You can go to manage rule, create a new rule, and say you want to format values, right? Format only cells that contain the cell value that is greater than 50, and you want to set the format to green, for example. And you can also set the text format as you wish. The font format, right? Let's say I want the font to be white because it's a dark green I selected. So it's gonna look like this. This is a preview of the format that will go in that cell. If I click OK and apply, now you see that all the people that scored greater than 50 are now green. Now 50 is not green because 50 is not greater. So from 51 will be green. Okay. And if I want those that scored less than 50 to be red, I can highlight all of those, go back to my conditional format, manage rules, and add another rule for the people that are less. And I can go to the value and select less than, um, let's say less than 51, because 50, if I did less than 50, then 50 will not be included, right? So anything less than 51, I want it to have a feel of red. And then and of course I want to change the text as well to a white color. And I click OK. And remember, I said the new rules you should put at the bottom, especially if you are working with numbers, because one rule can override the other one. And if you click apply, now you see it has applied, and you click OK, and now you see easily those that have scored greater than 50 and less than 50. Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
very good. Now, remember when I taught you the format painter, I told you that you could actually paint any kind of format, including conditional formats. So now, if I wanted the same format to be on the English and the science scores, who can tell me how to do it? Somebody else, not Florence.
Okay, let me try.
Go ahead.
Okay, highlight the range, like pick the range of the what you want to format. That's,
Like
let's
this
say,
one, for
columns.
example. Mhm.
The next one, you say we want to
This
try
one.
for English
Uh-huh.
4, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So pick the range to
Like
Henry,
this.
yes. So
Mm-hmm.
go to conditional formatting.
I want to use Format Painter. I don't want to do it the way I did it before
Oh,
because
okay,
I don't have to. The good thing about Format Painter is once you already have the format created,
okay,
the
okay,
rule created, you don't have to create it again and again. You can just paint the
okay.
format.
Let's try with format painter then. So
Yes.
click on 85,
Yes.
go to format painter,
Mm-hmm.
double click so we can pick it twice.
Yes.
Then That's 85. So what exactly are we formatting? Is it higher than
The
7?
English and the science scores, I want to apply the same rules as the math scores.
Okay. So click on 88.
This one,
No, the next one on English score.
that's 78 or
Yeah,
88.
78.
78, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Um, click, sorry, you're supposed to click on 88 because I'm looking at the numbers higher than 70.
Actually, I want to format everything, not only a few. I want to format all of them.
You
Okay,
use
so
the
click
formatting paint and just bring it down.
bring
So
it down.
I just drag on
Highlight,
all of
yes,
them.
and
Very
press
good.
OK.
Perfect. Now you see there's only one person that failed. And that person that answered, thank you very much for that answer. Very good. So simple as that. That's conditional formatting. There are a few other things. Let me remove the format just to so that you will understand this, all these icons, what they mean. I'm going to clear the rule again from the selected cells, okay? Um, if I highlighted this, actually I put this exercise here. Maybe I'll share it with you on the chat so you can study it on your own and try to do. This will be your second assignment, okay? Try to do all these things I put down here, but I'll just give you a hint on how to do it, okay? The first one says apply a three-color scale to highlight math scores, green for high, yellow for average, and red for low. Of course, it means you have to add average here and you have to add status here, right? But the way to do it is if you look here, you will see, oops, sorry, the three-color scale. You'll see it here, right? You can see here that if I selected, of course, I need to select my column first. And if I come here and I selected the three color scale, look at that. It's already giving me a scale of colors, right? Now, this is not only three colors, but you can modify it. You see, I have a scale of colors and I can come here to manage and of course edit it. And then I can select based on what it has said here, right? What I want to be the, the lowest or the median or the highest score, okay? It's kind of a scale of color. So it's going from red, which is very bad, to green, which is very good. And you can see you can see here that 100 is full green and 10, which is the lowest score here, is red. And there are other colors in between. Okay. So that's basically what the three color scale is. And this one is data bars. These data bars just essentially kind of gives you a feel of how high the scores are. It makes bars on the rows to visually show you which one is, very low or which one is very high. Yeah. So if this was 10, for example, then obviously it's a very low bar. And if it was 100, then it's full. Okay. And here, if I wanted what else? Icon sets. And here you can see sets of icons that, pretty much does something close to what the three color scale does, by making the low ones red and the ones somewhere in between are yellow and the very good ones are dark green and the arrow is facing up, right? And you can change these icons to whatever you want. If I come here, for example, I wanted it to look like traffic lights, I could do that, right? So red immediately just tells you, oh, bad score, right? And so on. So all of the important thing is for you to understand the idea of that the format is on the cell based on the condition that you have set. Okay. And in this case, this one is based on the three color scale condition, right? and here actually you can change the values in this case. For example, if I wanted green to only appear when it was, I don't know, let's say 80 and above, and between 67 and 80, I want it to be, let's say, ah, let's say I want it to be up to 50 here, and anything less than 50 will be a fail, right? Right? Then I can say, okay, when the value is greater than 80, it should be green. When it is less than 80 and anyway greater than 50, so that's between 50 and 80, yellow. And when it is less than 50, red. If I click OK and apply, then you see it kind of changed a little bit. Okay. So play with it, try to understand what's going on, and I think you'll get the hang of it. It takes a while to understand how these things are working, how conditional formats work. Okay. It wasn't giving me a correct answer. That's why I'm changing this 80 because the percentage is not the same as a number, right? Yeah. Okay. Apply. And now it's correct. Beautiful. We have only one value that's less than 50 and it's red. Okay. I know it's a little bit confusing, but believe me, if you watch the video again and just play with it, you'll get it. Okay, any other questions before we call it a day? Very good. So today we have done the introduction to Excel and we have done the data entry and formatting. I was thinking we could do formulas and functions today, but let's continue with that tomorrow. So hopefully we can do formulas and functions tomorrow and working with data tomorrow, okay? And then next week we'll continue, but we're going to try to finish everything up by next week Sunday. So we have quite a lot to do. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much too. Just a question. Will you share
Sure.
the recordings?
I will share them, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, please, I want to ask what time will the training be for tomorrow? I don't know.
Same time, 4 p.m.
Sir? 4 p.m.
Same time. Well, that's 3 p.m. in Nigeria.
3 p.m. Nigerian time. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Please, I want to be added in the WhatsApp group, please.
Okay. Florence, can
All
you
right.
help
Thank
us to do that?
you. Thank you.
I do have a question though.
Sure.
How soon can we get the recordings?
Um, I was hoping to do it after the training, if that's okay, but maybe I'll send the first batch because I need to adjust it a little bit. So I'll send the first batch of Saturday and Sunday. So that's today and tomorrow. I'll probably send it on Monday or Tuesday so you can have it. And then I'll send the second batch next week. I mean after the next weekend sessions. Is that
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I was just asking because tomorrow I won't be able to attend. That will be like my morning time and that will be at church.
Uh-huh. Okay. Uh, where are you calling? Where are you joining from?
Is that
Canada.
Ah, from Canada. We have a really international group here. All right. Okay. Sorry, promise. I didn't know you were in the waiting room. I just saw you just now. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a very good evening and see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.